You're listening to Edge Radio TV. The views and opinions expressed in this program are that of the host or guests, and not the Edge Radio Network or its advertisers or affiliates.
Good morning and welcome back to the Athletes United platform here with my guest. We'll introduce in a moment, but I'm Big Mel, his judgeship, also known as his judgeship, master of all that he surveys and the final arbiter of all that comes before him. We have an interesting show on today as we come to you from the Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. That young man here today is a screenwriter, producer, director. He's involved in the cinema arts, and we're going to introduce him as Mr. Chris Bond. Welcome to the platform, Mr. Chris.
Thank you.
Indeed. Chris, give us some depth on how your interest serves the general public or serves society at large.
Well, I guess the easiest way to put that, my interest, being in the entertainment field and catering to people's fantasies or their wills or their don't likes.
Yes.
In film, you pretty much you got a green light to go into anyone's mind and come into anyone's heart at any given time. You're going to be hated, you're going to be loved, all at the same time. But it's something that you love to do and you love to put it out there, because whatever can come to your imagination, there's a way to put it on film. You could say the same thing for music, but music is all audio. But once you get into the visualization of it and you combine it with the audio, you have anything a person could want. You can go anywhere in the world. You can be the historian. You can be the future teller.
Yes.
You can be extremely prevalent in the present.
Yes.
With doing film. So it's just something I fell in love with. It means more than... It means so much to the world without them even knowing it. Without this visualization and audio from film, the world will be lost at a lot of aspects and be way behind in a lot of things.
You can tell this is going to be an interesting discussion this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So is it safe to assume that, filmmaking is an influential art? It is something that sways our current politics, our current body politic, our current way of looking at the world.
I'll take it a step further. It's not influential. It is the influential topic.
Wow.
Example, really quick example. Are you familiar with the 1960 presidential debate?
Oh, sure.
It was the very first televised debate. And a lot of people don't realize that actually Richard Nixon was ahead in that debate when it was on the radio.
Yes.
Way more prevalent. But JFK had a great team behind him. So when they had their very first televised debate, they put him in they gave him the look. They put him in the suit, the nefarious blue suit that we still see today.
Yes.
Had him looking good, had his hair doing on. They had that live debate, and just like that, he took off in the polls, and there was our new president. And ever since then, that was also when the political shift happened. Because at that time, before then, majority of African Americans were Republican. And that was the political shift during that 1960 debate, all because of the televised showing of it, because Richard Nixon had come on. He looked scruffy. He was, a politician. He wasn't worried about his image. So he came on. He looked scruffy. He was looking bad versus this younger, more virile looking man that the world seen. And at that moment is when you seen the political shift change, and majority of African Americans became Democrat.
That's interesting.
And he got put in office. But on radio, Nixon was ahead.
If you're just listening to the rationality.
If you're just listening to the rationality, Nixon was ahead. The moment they put it on television and they had those people do that, there we go.
So manipulating imagery
changes
worldview.
Yes, absolutely.
How about that?
Absolutely.
And that's the essence of cinematography and,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Without a doubt.
You guys have changed our entire order of things. As they say in the movie network, you've changed the primal order of things.
Yes.
With movies, with documentaries, and with manipulating images.
Yes,
And,
because you can do it any way you want to. You can do it any way you want to. The average man can become a hero with extreme powers.
Yes.
The unintelligent man can also immediately become smarter than Einstein. It all depends on what you're trying to bring to your audience. And you're able to do that through visualization with the addition of audio behind it.
How about that? Chris, we often hear of subliminal messages. Is that conspiratorial, or is there such a thing? Is there, I would say, a critical intent inside of the world of cinema?
Absolutely.
To give subliminal messages.
Absolutely. You're not a good screenwriter. You're not a good director if you do not know how to do that. You have to be able to tap into a person's subliminal mind. It happens in every film that is worth watching. There's a subliminal message put in it, and it could be in the most minute things. It can be in the color of the wardrobe. It can be in what's in the visualization behind the actor.
Wow.
It's quite simple. Another case in point, if you don't mind, just recent blockbuster film with the Black Panther film.
Sure.
If you watch a certain scene, the scene where they're in the club, when they walk into the club to find the villain.
Yes.
Look at the colorization. King T'Challa is in a black suit. His head warrior is in a red suit. His right wing woman is in a green suit. Subliminal message. Red, black, and green. The African flag. See, just the simplest things that you put in there. That's what makes you a good director, writer, because you're able to do these things and actually just tap into a person's psyche without them even knowing you're there.
How about that? Listen, as you're shooting a scene or a film, is it necessarily in sequence?
Everything is. Everything is in sequence when you're shooting the scene. It's a dance.
Okay.
Every scene is a dance. There's not a single portion to a film scene that you see that's not actually put together. It's a choreograph. Everything. There are no, you will catch, there are small mistakes that if they're loved, they'll keep it, but everything is a dance. There's not a single person that's in there on that scene that's not there for a reason. I don't care if you're just the person sitting in the background with your head turned, not looking. You're put there. You're not just there. It's all part of the director's magic to bring to life what goes on. In a fight scene, there's no fight. It's a dance. I know you're throwing a left hook at this certain speed, and I know to move this way.
Yes.
And because you have to be able to, the camera has to be able to follow you. And all of that is done in a dance sequence.
Is it uncommon to have an actor go off script or just say some things that become famous almost?
Oh yeah, it's not wanted, but it's one of those things where you have to know the rules before you can break the rules.
Okay.
So if you're a beginning actor, please don't think you're going to come in there and jump off a script, because they'll always tell you to stick to the script. But when you are that seasoned actor, that Jack Nicholson, that Denzel Washington, oh yes, you are allowed to go off script because you know how to go off script and keep it magical.
I was hearing an interview with Spike Lee shortly after Malcolm was such a hit. Epps was such a hit. He said, there's this famous scene where Denzel's Malcolm is telling his listening audience, you've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled. You recall that famous scene?
Yes, I do.
Spike says he's sitting in the chair. Oh, what page was that one? I missed that one. But Denzel, he says, transformed into Malcolm during the making of this movie. He'd interviewed a lot of people that lived around Malcolm, and knowing his daughters, his ex-wife, his widow, people who worked with him, and read a whole, they said he just digested everything he could find about the man. Look at the old footage. And he said somewhere along in there, he became Malcolm. So he went off script, and Spike, I guess, kept it in there.
Spike Lee is actually known for that. I mean, with Denzel, of course, you're not going to get very much. You're not going to get a better actor than Denzel in any film.
No.
But even prior to the filming of that, he became Malcolm X off screen to make sure when he was on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he'd be in the dressing room and he'd be Malcolm X. He'd be at home and he'd be Malcolm X because he knew what he was about to do. With an actor like Denzel, but think of something like this, Denzel Washington is the type of man, and a lot of people don't even know this, but if I wanted him to be in a film of mine and I sent him a script, in order for him just to read it, he has $1 million salary.
Mercy.
You have to pay that man $1 million just to read your script, not to be in your film.
Just
to read your script to see if he wants to be in your film, because it's an automatically knowing if he's going to be in your film, something's going to happen, and he's going to bring that magic. But I mean, to digress from that, saying Spike Lee is known for that. He's had, I mean, the late great Robin Harris, great comedian, the film Do the Right Thing. There was no way Spike Lee could write half of the comedic material that Robin Harris was coming up with on set.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, there's the great scene where the gentleman wanted to boycott the restaurant.
Right.
And Robin Harris comes off screen and saying, you need to boycott the person who cut your hair. I mean, that was not written, but it was kept in the script. It's just the way Spike Lee does. He'll give a person leeway if he knows they're allowed to. If he knows they're good at what they're doing, he will allow that. But he's just one of those directors that'll do that. And it also depends on who's in your film. Same thing with Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson is the person you can put on your set, you can give him your script, and you're already underneath the understanding he's going to make it his script. He's going to read the lines, he'll switch the words, he'll say what's better in that line, and you're going to keep it there.
My God.
Because he knows what he's doing. But that's when you
quite
enter
interesting.
$20 million or more for an actor.
We're talking with growing legend here, Mr. Chris Bonds, actor, director, writer, screenplay, and we'll be right back after a few moments. And we're back here on the Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters on the Athlete United platform. We're talking to Mr. Chris Bonds, screenwriter, producer, director. And as we broke, we're talking about some of the costs associated with attracting talent, the kind of talent that guarantees the film gets a lot of audience. But Chris, that's also an issue that I want to bring to your attention. I don't know of a whole lot of people in the business with your title and with your background. Is there? Is there more?
Oh yes, there's tons. There's so many of us, and maybe not on that larger platform where you would see in the blockbuster era, but we're getting there. We are getting there. But oh yes, there's there's even local talent here, right in the city of Houston, Texas, that just waiting to get their mark. There are people that have been in this game for 10, 15 years, just waiting to get their break.
Really?
And once you get your break, you know, the sky's the limit. But it often takes that. Film is something you absolutely have to love to be in it, because anything that can go wrong, it shall go wrong. Well, even if you have, I have something on my hands. I've written the greatest screenplay. Oh, it's wonderful. It's this. It doesn't matter. You're still gonna have to pay your dues. You're still going to have to find that leg up and find someone that's actually going to help put you out there, unless you just have it like that. Because even a micro budget film, which is considered below low budget, will still cost you over $5 million.
Interesting.
Easily.
Interesting.
So it's there. I mean, you have your New Atoms. I mean, we all look at your Lee Jenkins, your Tyler Perry's.
Yes.
You know, those that are there that have laid those on, but oh no, they're far from the only ones. Here locally, you have gentlemen like, your Jerriton Fullers, with Success is Quality, and you have your Andre Burns, and you have Brave Root Films. I mean, there's so many different great film companies here, as well as cinematographers, writers and producers, but it's all a matter of how do you get them to that platform?
What explains then the lack of production, the lack of productivity, the lack of known products in the marketplace?
A lot of times it's the lack of time they've been in the industry. It's the lack of trust from studios that don't want to give that amount of money to them.
Sure.
It's the lack of even their knowledge of knowing where to be at the right time, because it's really a lot about being in the right place at the right time to speak to the right person. You could catch a person today and it just could be in their head that they don't want to deal with you. And then the very next day, that same person is seeing exactly what you tried to show them the day before. And they're all over. So it's a timing thing. It really is. And it's all a matter of you knowing what you're talking about. If you have something that you need to present, if you can't show that you are absolutely in love with it, what makes you think I'm going to want to give you a nickel for it?
Well, that makes sense, I suppose. Chris, there's another curiosity I had. Some of these blockbuster movies and some of these blockbuster properties, like The Exorcist, for example, or the entire, the entire trilogy of Star Wars, that entire property. Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ. Everybody claims they didn't make a profit. How is that possible? And what does the IRS allow that?
I'll say this. I'll use that Passion of the Christ as an example.
Is that legally allowable?
He could not get a single studio to give him a nickel to make that film.
Interesting.
At all. No studio will give him a nickel to make that film. So he put his own money up. He put $125 million of his own money up to do Passion of the Christ. And then he turned around and netted $795 million at the box office within the first 7 days. Same thing with Jordan Peele's Get Out.
It's $1 billion
They
product.
never thought that a black film director could sell overseas. It just wouldn't happen. So no studio will give him that money whatsoever. Okay. And you talk about micro budget. He put $4.5 million of his own money into that. And if you understand releasing of films, it only got released in a little over 1,400 theaters worldwide. At the same time, mind you, you said Star Wars was just released in over 5,600 films worldwide.
Sure.
But with a close to $200 million budget versus his $4.5 million budget. But it netted $276 million, which is what made him who he is.
Now we understand that. That's a net. That's published. Yes. How is it then you can turn around and tell the Internal Revenue Service, for example, that the movie failed to make a profit?
Well, in film, which that's absolutely not true. In film, in order to be called a successful film, you have to do triple your budget at the box office. So whatever amount of money you invested into it, it has to do 3 times that before they consider you a successful film. Yes, not that you didn't make money, but you're not successful until you triple your budget.
So if not, it's legally permissible to call it a failed project.
So what of a flop?
Failed to make money.
So what of a flop? Take A Wrinkle in Time, the Oprah Winfrey film.
Yeah.
$100 million budget. Bad release time. Bad going up against, in the era of action films.
Yes.
You release it, $56 million. Nothing. A flop. Taken off the shelves, taken out of theaters, re-released. Nothing. Taken back off the shelves and hoping they get some streaming money from it in the end. $100 million budget going down the drain. But Hollywood has quite a few of those where they've put in hundreds of $millions into films and they make nothing from it. But that's the name of the game.
Let's say that I'm a studio head and I'm interested in a project that reflects the time, so reflects the zeitgeist of the moment. What would make me go out and look for? Oh, what am I looking for? Who am I looking for? Director, producer, screenwriter? What kind of person am I looking for?
You're not looking for the screenwriter. You're not looking for the person that writes the screenplay. You're looking for, if you receive a screenplay and it suits the time, because they're gonna look and say, okay, is it the right time for it to be released? Is it the right time for it to be done? And if it is, they're gonna look for the right director. Who can bring this to life and make it what it is?
I see.
So yes, you've got a great screenplay. Well, I wrote it, I want to direct it. No. We want a seasoned director to bring this vision to life, because we're going to put X amount of dollars into this film. So we need the right person that's going to actually bring this vision to life and make it what it needs to be in order for us to put it out in theaters. So everything matters to the studio head. The timing, who's going to direct it, who's producing it. Okay, who you're going to attach to it to act in this film? What actor can bring this to life? Which is the reason why your A-list actors will always be the breadwinners when it comes down to being in film. That's why when you get $100 million film, who do you want to star in that film in order to actually bring that film to light? And those are the people who are going to get your $20 million of film, because no one can replace that person in that film. Well, you couldn't picture Iron Man being played by anybody else but Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, at this point, that's true. That's true.
It would destroy the film. So you're going to pay them according to what you need them to do, because they are the character that brings this film to life.
So is it pretty accidental when you get a great actor or actor who makes a film come to life, or some actor who gets associated with legacy? I mean, if I'm an actor, I'm out there. I'm probably on the merits no better than you are as an actor, but somehow I strike gold, I get magic. Is that surely coincidental?
No. It's a timing thing. It's them knowing. I mean, it's not a new game. The filming is not a new game. They've been doing this for many years. So they know what they're looking for. They know what they want. And they do have a pretty good idea of what's going to bring it to life. So they will not put the wrong person in place if they could help it. Nor will, it doesn't matter in any sense. I mean, with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, and then they are doing another film, but you can't replace him. So the character dies, and someone else has to take that place, because trying to replace that actor in that role would actually make the film flop. So it's better to just rewrite, kill the character, and put someone new in place that will actually may be able to take it into another legacy.
Well, speaking of writing, give us something of the TikTok of writing. I mean, you sit down one day and you say, okay, it was a dark and stormy night. You start out like the Peanuts or something. I don't know. How do you do this?
But here's the gist of writing, and this is just in all honesty. If you're a screenwriter, this is something you definitely need to follow. $1 million information for you, given out free. A film can be written in 5 pages.
5 pages.
That's it. That's your cake. The script is just frosting.
You're kidding me?
Yes, 5 pages. 5 pages, you can tell a whole film from beginning to end. I've just told you the entire film in 5 pages, which is called the treatment. That's your cake. The entire 120-page, 2-hour script is just frosting. I'm just filling in. I'm filling in these 5 pages with 120 pages of script, action, dialogue, sequences. That's how it's written out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're ever going to sit down and you're going to write a film, you have an idea. Oh, I have a great idea for a film. Okay, then let's start with a treatment. Tell me the story in 5 pages. And then let's start with your main character. And it's all going to come from the mind of the writer. I mean, think about it. When George Lucas wrote Star Wars, where did it come from? Who is Luke Skywalker?
Out of his head.
Out of his head. And then if I asked you right now, who is Luke Skywalker? Okay, well, where was he born? Who were his parents? What was his favorite food? See, all of this comes out of the mind of the writer, which goes into a character summary. So before you even begin to write the frosting of the cake, which is your script, you need to have a treatment, and you need to have a character summary on your main characters and your co-stars, just to have a background on them. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's all made up out of your mind. But if I'm going to write a character, he's 20 years old, and I'm writing a character, I'll be able to tell you who his second grade teacher was, who his favorite teacher was in high school,
Sure.
What was his favorite snack, what sports did he play,
My.
because that helps you write the frosting.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just got a value proposition here that's beyond scale, and we're grateful to have Mr. Chris Bonds, screenwriter, producer, director, stop by the Athletes United platform today on Edge Radio, where truth still matters. And we hope you'll join us back here this time next week on this platform at this time. Thank you very much, and we're out. Thank you, Chris.
No, thank you. I love being.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Hey y'all, I'm Robin B.
And I'm Dr. Kiva.
And we just want to know
how you living?
Join us every Monday
At noon Central Standard Time.
here on Edge Radio TV. Take care.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
And we're back with Mr. Chris Bonds, screenwriter, producer, director, and we've heard some heavy stuff here, Chris. I mean, you brought to light some interesting information, knowledge, and really an insight that we would not have had ordinarily. Let me ask you another question.
Oh, please, sure will.
Since I'm asking the questions today, when you began this it's into entree into screenwriting, into being a director, getting involved in film. What was your motive? What drove you? I mean, it had to be
life,
something.
the versatility in life, and just the worldly aspects that a lot of people don't get to see. That the only way they actually can even see or even educate themselves on it will come through film and visualization, because any story can be told. I mean, there are even children that don't even know how to learn in the classroom, but put it in a film and watch how fast they pick it up. Same with adults, not to just say that just children, but there's a lot of aspects about life whatsoever that people will never know about until you put it in film, where they can see it visually and they can understand it. I can explain it to you all day, but then the moment I make it visual for you and give you audio behind it, then that's when a light bulb goes off. And when you're in film, you actually have that opportunity. And the more you know about life and the more you see, because you'll never know enough in life. It's impossible. You'll never know everything in life, but the more you know and the more you put yourself out there and the more you learn things, you're able to actually portray that to the world, to bring your vision of that out there. I mean, if it's a fantasy film, yeah, that's your vision of a fantasy. But if it's a documentary, you want to actually bring true knowledge and light to a subject that you think people want to know about. And there's an audience for everything. Oh, there's an audience for everything. Everything that there is out there, there is an audience for it.
I was told once by a young man whose family immigrated to America that as a kid, he learned English first through various episodes of Sesame Street. That's impossible to believe, but he did it.
Yes.
Let's talk about sports for a second. We can take a break. Sports and movies are, I mean, rich in history. The Lou Gehrig story, you name it. Brian's song, even make television type shows. Is it easier to tell a sports story? Is it, as a writer? Is that easy to do?
It's not easy.
No.
But if you love it, it is. Because anytime, especially a docuseries, you're talking about athletes, it's not the game. It's not their game you're worried about, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, and sport doesn't matter. It's the person. What makes that person interesting? Oh, I can score 100 points a game. Okay, but what's your backstory? That's where the writer comes in, and that's where the writer's team comes in, because you have to do a lot of research. I mean, you're not looking at this person in the professional league. Oh, I'm going all the way back to when did you first touch this? When did you first pick this up? Who inspired you? Who were the friends? Who were the neighbors? Who were the parents' friends? Who were the supporters? You want to know what bad happened, because you're going to need that. No, there's no such thing as having a successful professional person in sports without a bad backstory. There has to be something there that intrigues the person. You know, it's almost like the little guy winning. You know, the coming from nothing and having everything. You need that great backstory, because honestly, who's interested in if you're, okay, I came from everything and I never had any issues, any problems, and now I'm a professional athlete. Nobody wants to know your story. Nobody wants to know your story. But then when you have the person that, oh, your Allen Iverson stories. Okay, I was in trouble in high school. I was almost arrested. It's intriguing. And so the world loves to see that. They want to see the bad apple become the good apple.
So the writing is important.
The writing is very important, and it's your research and your back study. Nobody wants to actually put a story out there to come to find out a lot of the story has an untruth to it, especially in a documentary with a sporting athlete. That's the worst thing you can do, because you can actually ruin that person by telling things that aren't true about them. So you're going to have to do your due diligence. You're going to have to look. You're going to have to research, and that takes time. There's no such thing as a documentary coming out. I did this documentary and it was done in 2 weeks. No, it wasn't. You may have shot it in a matter of weeks. Oh, but you've done research, 6 or more months worth of research, and you didn't do it alone.
How about that?
At all. You had a team of people.
Listen, I had an accomplished attorney once tell me that if you had to advise any youngsters about the kind of skill training and kind of prep that they would need to become an attorney, he would advise them to major in English. I found that quite telling and interesting. As an aspiring writer, here comes a youngster to you. He wants to be a screenwriter. Would that also be critical for him?
Not only will English be critical, it would also be to tell him to find his niche. What is it that you want to write about? Many accomplished novel writers out there, they have a niche. You're not going to read an Agatha Christie book about comedy.
I see.
because that's not her niche.
Yeah, it's not her niche.
At all. And it's the same thing with anything. What niche? What is it that you want to talk about when you start writing? Therefore, you actually write it and love what you're writing and actually go more into detail about it and know what you're trying to present to people. It's almost a stay in your lane type of thing to help yourself out. Don't try to jump if you know you can't jump. I mean, we were speaking about Spike Lee earlier. Okay, in all this film, you know, Spike Lee actually did a horror film.
He did?
Oh, yeah. See? Case in point. Exactly. Case in point. Absolutely. I love you, Spike. But the film was absolutely horrible. Why? It wasn't your lane.
A horrible horror film.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it was, oh, my goodness. You couldn't offer me the tickets and hand my popcorn to me to go see it.
Mercy.
But I love Spike Lee films. But stay in your lane. Do what you know. You can be successful doing what you know. And after you become successful doing what you know, you can play around with other notions. You can play with it, but stick to what you know to be successful in this realm, whatever it may be. You've never seen Stan Lee jump outside of superheroes because he knew his lane and he stayed in his lane and became extremely successful from it.
I see. So if sports and entertainment is my thing, it would probably be advisable for me not to try to write about war history and ancient human development.
If you can compare it and make an analogy with the sports world, yes, you can. You can compare a sporting athlete to, say, Sun Tzu, because it is an art of war. Even as an athlete, it's still an art of war. So you have to be able to make that comparison and then bringing them together to make a proper analogy so you know how they combine. How does this meet with this to make it come true? You can do that. But yes, if sport and athletes are your realm, be the best at that. Be the absolute best at that and find your niche within that. And then once you become successful, okay, and you're lounging, I want to try something else. Okay, you're human. Great. Let's try something else. But you know what you're great at.
Chris, there's more people that look like you and I enter your business, your realm. Is it important that we sort of reshape our story, somehow for the benefit of history? Take command of our story. Because you know how we've been, to a large degree, pictured, somehow characterized throughout the ages.
Oh, yeah. Extreme stereotype.
Yes.
Extreme stereotype.
How important is it that we take a hold of our own story?
Yeah, we have to rewrite our story. We have to rewrite our stories. They have been writing our stories for us and attempting to rewrite our stories for us, but it comes from their point of view. No, we have to rewrite our own stories. But even then, after we rewrite our own stories, we have to be able to support each other.
Think about that.
And not have what I call the God complex of some. Which is, those that, I will never teach you to fish. I'm going to have all the fish and I'll feed you when I want to feed you. Instead of teaching you to fish. No, we have to not only support ourselves and rewrite our own stories, we have to have each other's back in this.
You bet.
Otherwise, we're not. It's still just going to be an I, or me, instead of a we made this happen for ourselves. Because there are so many of us coming up. There are so many of us that are proving to Hollywood and Nollywood and Bollywood that, oh yes, not only do we have something to say, we're here to make a major statement.
Yes.
And we're not going in anywhere, and we're going to rewrite this in the way it should be spoken. Because a lot of us, there are people who have never seen us before personally from other countries, but they have a depiction of us because of the way our story was told.
Isn't that something? And
we have to turn around and make that story, rewrite that story to bring the actual knowledge of who we are to the world.
Even on the small screen, last night I'm watching an episode of Station 19. We're talking television here. And they were into topical matters relative to police violence in the community, misunderstanding with the authorities, and somebody wind up in an emergency situation. They told that story from our point of view and got, I guess, a good reflection of what the broader society, how the broader society looks at things. I found that just intriguing. It's very interesting. On T, I mean, it was.
I have an issue Okay, maybe this is a personal thing, but I have an issue with point of view versus just actual facts. If there's a your side of my story and there's a my side of the story, that's the two sides of a coin.
Sure.
But the truth lies on the edge of the coin. Who's gonna tell that truth? Who's brave enough to tell that truth and take that chance on it actually expanding to have just an actual understanding of what is versus this is the way I see it and this is the way I see it. No,
saying the truth is in the sentence.
The truth is in the sentence somewhere, and you have to be able to find that. But when you have those that say this is my point of view or this is my point of view on the same subject, okay, but there's still only one truth in any story. There's a single truth, but everyone tends to do the point of view writing. A lot of people, shall I say. And that's where my issue comes in. Stop the point of view, especially in a document. Tell the middle. What's the truth? Are you brave enough for it? Because that is the most dangerous thing on this planet. It's not love. It's not trust. It's truth. Truth is the most dangerous entity in the universe because the truth can make you, it can break you, it can kill you, but it can also uplift you. There's nothing more powerful than the truth.
We're here on this platform, we're quite familiar with that because truth still matters. We're talking to Mr. Chris Bonds. We're going to be right back in a moment.
The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information.
And my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay.
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
And we're back. Once more, we're talking with Mr. Chris Bonds, screenwriter, producer, director. As we broke, we were talking about truth, the transcendency of truth, and how it can be articulated through film and medium. Chris, how critical is that for our story? How critical is that?
For our story, the truth is the most critical thing because the truth has never been put out there. It's always been a version versus the truth. And the truth being put out there can be very dangerous. And a lot of people are afraid of that. I mean, it's very edgy. Believe you me, there are people who've written the truth. There are people who've written the truth, and those truths have actually been purchased by studios and put on a shelf to never be produced. Like we will buy this from you just to make sure it doesn't get done. Really? And we will put it, yes.
So you think it's deliberate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here, I'm going to hand you $100,000 to buy your script from you. What are you going to do with it? Well, I own it now. So when will I see it? Never. We own it. So it's going on the shelf and it'll never be produced. Why? Because this is the truth of it is absolute. It's way too powerful, and we don't want that out there. Or it could just be a matter of timing. You know, the world isn't ready for this, and that's what'll happen a lot of times, and it's happened so many times. It's unreal.
Wow, that's difficult to hear.
That's very difficult to hear. But that's what happens when you don't have that executive producer that's willing to put up the funding for you to actually bring that vision to light and to put that truth out there. Because as we all know, we were not a part of this system for many years. And yes, granted, you have your Hollywood. I mean, a lot of people don't understand the second largest film industry in the world is actually in Nigeria, which is Nollywood.
Are you kidding me?
Oh yes, and they produce 6 times the films that the United States does every year, but they don't do the theater. They go straight to market. You know, to kill all the bootlegging. They go straight to market. They do about 1,200 films a year versus the United States does about 200. And they go direct to market. And yes, there are executive producers over there and film companies that will put that money up and back you, but where is the courage of the person to go over there? And even with that, with the media portrayal about, oh, this is what's happening over there, and this is what's happening over there, which is a complete falsehood. But it's what they put out there to keep you from going over there, to keep you in fear to go over there and get that.
Come on, Chris. Really?
Get that budget.
Yes.
So it does happen, and it happens in larger numbers than people could ever imagine.
So the extent a Tyler Perry, for example, how does he fit within the entire panoply of things we're trusting?
He plays the game. He plays the game. And as long as you're willing to play the game, money is nothing. Money is just paper. It can be printed, it can be given out, it doesn't matter. I don't care how much money we lose. Money's not the issue. Are you willing to play the game? Our game. And Tyler Perry was willing to play the game.
That's curious.
He played the game, he got the money, and now he is who he is. And all praises to him. I mean, come on, the largest film production company on the planet?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people don't realize your MGM Studios, your Paramount, you're talking 65-acre lots for the whole studio. And all of a sudden he has a 310-acre lot.
From sleeping in his car.
Tyler Perry Studios, 310-acre lot versus you going out in Hollywood into these 65-acre lots. And I mean, no, he has the largest one there is because he played the game. And even now, with everything he has, he still has to play the game. Even though he doesn't have to, but he refuses not to because it's just embedded.
Wow. To
play that game. And he does it, and he does it well. And I knock not a single person on this planet for doing what they need to do to have the living that they want to have.
You don't think his genre is in pursuit of truth?
No, not at all. But he's in his lane.
Okay.
And he's doing what he does. Okay. And he's playing the game, and my hat's off to him. It really is. I have all the respect in the world for him. I have all the respect in the world for quite a few of the people out there that I feel that have that God complex that plays the game.
Who's the minister from Dallas? What's his name? Television preacher. TDJ. He's somehow involved himself in cinema nowadays and movie making and this kind of thing.
And he plays the game.
He plays the game.
He plays the game. When you have people that want to step out of the realm and not play the game and do things their way, it has to be the shock factor, surprise that we can't believe we made it. You're Jordan Peele. I'm not playing the game. I'm going to do what I do. You don't have to back me. I'll pay for it myself. And then the shock factor. No one gave him money for the movie Get Out. Pocket himself. But the very moment it was done, his very next film, studio jumped at him. Wouldn't give you a nickel for your first film, but we're going to give you $20 million for your second one.
That's how it goes.
And it still didn't have the success of his first one.
Wow.
So you had 5 times the budget practically and still could not do it. What you did on your first film with 1/5 of that budget.
Was that due to writing? Was it due to...
It's due to writing. It's due to the originality. It's due to not playing the game. And, we're going to do something brand new. We're going to do something that has not been done.
Okay.
We weren't even expected to sell internationally. We do domestic films, but we don't sell internationally. No, because you're not going to be able to make any money overseas. Okay, then let me not play the game. I'll step out the box and do my own thing. And then to their surprise, okay, now that the money's rolling in, which is the bottom line for them, okay, now we made that mistake, so let's give it to you. I mean, even to jump into your sporting analogy, when Michael Jordan came into the league, no shoe company was giving basketball players sponsorship.
No.
Nike wanted him, but Michael Jordan wanted to sign to Adidas. Oh, no, I wear Adidas. If Adidas will give me this money, I will sign with Adidas. And Adidas says, we don't sign people. We've got the Olympics. We've got soccer. Nike signed him. Nike went from $7 a share to $468 a share thanks to the Jordan shoe. So what happened when Kobe Bryant entered the league? Adidas threw every nickel at him they could, and they signed him. And they had an Adidas shoe before he actually canceled that contract and switched to Nike.
That's fascinating.
That's how that works. It's always, okay, if I'm going to play outside the box and I'm going to do my own thing, it's going to have to be a shock value for them to actually say, okay, now we're going to play your game.
Tell me this. Can they use your release date as a weapon against you? Or,
very much so. Oh, there are movies that are set on the shelf for a year, 2 years, because the timing isn't right. Oh, we shot this film. When did you shoot it? We shot it a year and a half ago. Why isn't it released? The time is not right. Because within your budget, that counts for everything. It's not just filming the film. Oh, that's money for your marketing and everything before this film gets released. How many theaters you're going to release it in? All of that is a factor within the same budget. And it's all a matter of timing.
Who determines that timing?
The studio. Which is where they failed with the $100 million Wrinkle in Time.
Yes.
You tried to come out against the Avengers.
That had to be purposeful. That had to be purposeful.
And it destroyed them. It destroyed them. They lost $60-something million on that film.
Wow, perhaps it wasn't.
But it didn't matter. They tried to take it off and re-release it. It didn't matter. It was already, you just did it at the wrong time.
They paid somebody to make that decision.
Exactly. Somebody gets paid to make the decision on when you are going to release this film.
Yes.
I mean, even the highest budget film. Yeah, I mean, if you have a $200 million film, it could take up to 3 months to shoot. And that's just the production part, because you still have pre-production and you still have post-production. And during the post-production is when all your marketing is done. Yes. Everybody's out, they're doing this great movie's coming out, and we may throw a trailer out there with the script, 3 or 4 different trailers to give people just a taste to see who's going to be coming, And if you don't get enough feedback from it, okay, let's shuffle and wait till the right time to release this, because right now we're not getting enough feedback from it. So we're not going to release it.
This has been an interesting conversation, Chris. I've had I guess, a load of erudition here today about how filming influences cultures, societies, how it influences our worldview. We knew that to a degree. All of us love movies, love characters, love actors, and love those stories. But I'm sitting here listening to you today and just now realizing that we sort of spend our lives around.
Yes. Everything is revolved around visualization in today's world. Yeah, once upon a time when there was no television, it was all about books, the imagination. Let's get into the book and let's read. Because that's where it comes from, because you got to sit there and you're in your own world. But now I can share that world, because if we're in a theater, 200-seat theater, I know me and 200 other people sitting in that theater watching this film together versus me opening a book and reading it and having my own visualization of it. It's important. Filming and television is exactly what makes this world move today. Nothing else. Media makes this world move today. Media itself, period. There's a lot of things that happen in this world.
Absolutely.
Think about even civil rights until it was actually being able to be put in the media.
Yes.
The same thing will be happening today. Exact same thing happening today if the world didn't have a visualization of actually what it was.
Will Smith made a telling statement the other week regarding some of the social matters at the top of it. He says that police violence isn't happening more, it's now being filmed.
Precisely. It's happening at the same rate, but now there's a visualization.
Yes. This has been interesting, Chris. I could sit and talk to you for another 2 or 3 hours like this. But
this is, you have to love this in order to do it. Otherwise,
we have to go. So I promise you'll come back sometime to visit with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Appreciate your time. This is Big Mel signing out from Athlete United Platform here on the Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. And we're out.